Hola bonitas, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review and wear test on a very new product that I have right here. I placed a same day Sephora order and I had to pick up the newest one size primer. This one right here. This is the Oil Sucker Extreme Mattifying Primer. I have oily skin, so lo vamos a probar. We're gonna see how this does on my complexion. So I'm very, very excited. Let's go ahead and get right into this video because we need to know if this is worth our, how much? $34 or not, so keep watching. I picked up the one size Oil Sucker Primer because I got requests from you guys to do a wear test video on this, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and do that. I love so many of one size products. Huge fan of the powder, peach one. Huge fan of the setting spray. Like, those two are holy grails for my makeup to really lock into place, especially during this hot humidity. So I was like, you know what? I have oily skin. I need to try this out. Do you guys see this before and after on Patrick? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, we are trying this out. Let's just go ahead and get into this. So this says extreme oil control, all day mattifying effect, non-comedogenic, won't clog pores, and dermatologist tested. So let's take it out. And here we do get 1 standard ounce, and this is the packaging, very pretty. This does contain alkaline pH, help reduce excess oils to balance and mattify. 15% mineral silicate complex, which tightens the appearance of pores. Microhyaluronic acid, which prevents over drying, and Korean red ginseng, which helps revitalize the look of skin. It says to shake well before use. I can hear it a little bit. Sounds kind of liquidy. Apply a smooth thin layer onto completely dry skin and oily areas only. For best results, allow product to dry for 3 minutes while remaining expressionless. Okay, that sounds like quite the request. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to begin applying it. It says to shake well, which we did. Apply a smooth thin layer onto completely dry skin and oily areas. So the areas where I tend to get the most oily are mainly the T-zone. So right here, the nose, you guys know the T-zone. Everywhere else, I feel like it's more so of like normal skin. Also, first time blowing out my hair since May, and I'm feeling myself. So much volume. Okay, anyways, so I'm gonna bring you guys in closer because I want you guys to see this face. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply it on the back of my hand. This is what the consistency looks like. And then I'm going to, ooh, it feels very, very lightweight. So I'm gonna apply it right here. So it's a thin layer. Right on my chin. That's another area where I get very oily. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just apply it to one side of the face. And make sure I'm following the directions. Because I do feel like with mattifying products, there is a method to the madness. Okay, I already see it kind of mattifying right here. On the nose, up here, even on the chin. Let me go back in with the smile lines, because the smile lines is where I get very dewy. Right here. Also around the brow. Around the brow, it's very dewy. Okay, I'm actually seeing this work in real time. Let's actually put on I cannot speak right now. Let's put on a timer, shall we? So we're gonna do a timer for 3 minutes. It's right here. Started it. And we are going to just let that work. It says to remain as expressionless as possible. Today it is another hot day here in Maryland, so I am just kind of going with the flow. I'm trying not to move my face too much because I want this to really lock into place, but I feel it tightening for sure. And I'm just gonna stay on camera in real time, honestly, so you guys can kind of see how this looks, but I'm already seeing it do the effect. That's insane. Even on the back of my hand, you can see like the area where I apply the primer, you can tell. But I have to say, this is a really, really interesting consistency because I thought it was gonna be like more of that like silicone-y, like that thicker base consistency that I tend to see in those mattifying primers. An example would be like the Milk one. The Milk one I love, and I'm actually almost done with it. It's right here, one of my favorites. You guys can see. This one is a little bit more of that like thicker consistency, like silicone-y feel. This one is extremely lightweight. And it's so lightweight that it's almost like liquidy. So when I started to shake it, because it told me to shake it first, like you can hear it, like the liquidiness of it. And I was like, oh, okay, we're onto something. Okay, so now you can kind of see like where we applied it. Like look at the difference right here with right here where it's like my natural oils. Do you see that? Like I'm kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? And I'm not trying to move the skin too much because it says remain expressionless. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna follow these instructions to the T. But I'm definitely seeing the difference. Where we applied it, you can see that. I would not recommend this if you have dry skin. This is not the primer for you because I literally feel it tightening. Like this is a mattifying, this may be the most mattifying primer I've tried. But the description is a non-comedogenic oil absorbing primer. Oh, that's what it is, an oil absorbing primer. An oil absorbing primer that delivers an immediate and extreme matte finish. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely extreme. Okay, timer's up. You can see right there. So we're gonna end that. Extreme matte finish while tightening the appearance of pores, extends makeup wear up to 12 hours. So yeah, I mean, we're getting it right here. Okay. Oh, and the micro hyaluronic acid prevents it from over drying, which is definitely a good thing because this is like matte. So I'm touching the areas where it's matte. I went in with a little more on right here, the smile line, because that's where I tend to get a little dewy or faster. And I'm definitely feeling the consistency change. I mean, look at that versus that. Do you see that? Okay. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now on camera as well, I'm going to go in with foundation. And for foundation, I'm just using the e.l.f. Soft Glam Foundation today. I've been really enjoying this. So I'm just going to apply this onto this side of the face first. And I'm going to go in. I will say this is one of those products that you need to make sure you follow the instructions, I feel like, because if not, I could see how this could go terribly wrong. Like for example, this primer, I definitely don't think you need it in all areas. I definitely do think this is a primer that you only need in certain areas of the skin where you truly get oily, like it says in the directions. If you go with this primer in areas where you may have dry patches or feel like you have some dryness, it may not be the best product for you. Really quick side note, it's doing well with the foundation. I was a little worried that because it is a matte primer, like very matte primer, that it was going to cause some separation or cause for things to look a little off. Glad to report that it's doing well with the foundation. One tip I will give, and this is just with my personal experience as having very oily skin, if you're gonna go in with a matte primer like this one, go in with a foundation that's more skin-like. I feel like for me personally, when I try to go in with too many matte things, especially the things that I'm layering on top, like the base and the primer, it could easily become an issue if I go in with a very matte primer and then the foundation's very matte. Everything can just like separate or look really cakey and intense on the skin. I feel like I can see that it is a little bit more matte here than anywhere else. I will say though, I'm impressed with the fact that on the nose, it didn't separate. Typically on the nose, because I have rosacea on my nose, things can tend to separate and just look like heavy, but this looks nice. It looks nice. It's applying very nicely with the foundation, which I can very much so appreciate as somebody that, you know, does have oily skin, is always looking for a really good matte product. It's nice when I can find something that's going to work well with the products that I already love. So this is the side with the primer and the foundation on, and this is the side with nothing on. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to go ahead and go on this side where we don't have any primer on, and we are going to begin to blend things out. Okay, look at the difference. So I'm applying this on the side with no primer. And I don't know, I just feel like things look a little bit more sheer. I'm having a little bit more of a harder time like really getting it to stick in some areas. The primer, I don't know what it is, but just gives more pigmentation. Like even the areas where we really more so focused on it, like look at that pigmentation. Something I could compare this new One Size primer to, and I don't know if you guys remember this, Becca Cosmetics, they had this mattifying primer. It was really, really matte and good. It was a good primer. I remember when I worked at Sephora, I would always recommend that to people that had oily skin, like really oily skin, because it literally like completely made any oiliness on the skin disappear. It felt a little bit of tightened like this one did when I applied it. Like I could feel it kind of like, because it's an oil sucker primer, but that's kind of the vibes that it's giving me. So if you've tried the Becca primer, the mattifying one, that's kind of a similar situation. So let's take a little bit more on the forehead, and I'm just gonna continue blending. Yeah, like look how more sheer the foundation looks. Like it just doesn't grip as well to when you have a primer. And I'm going in with the same exact amount. I'm using the same tool. This is the side with the oil sucker primer. This is the side without it. With it, without it. I feel like you can't see the biggest difference right now, but I do feel like this side looks a little bit more matte than this side. I'm quickly gonna finish up my makeup, and then I'm gonna come back, give you guys my first initial thoughts on how this is doing, and then I'm going to go and start the day. I am getting a later start, I'm not gonna lie, but we're gonna start the day so that we can see how this does for the rest of the afternoon and evening and night. And then I'll come back at the end of the day and give you guys my final thoughts on this, because I'm impressed so far. Like just seeing that transformation in those 3 minutes, and also as I was applying it, I was like, oh, esto trabaja. Quickly finish up the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back. Okay, bonitas, I am back. I finished the entire face of makeup. I will list all the details down below in my description box on what I used, because I've been loving this type of glam lately. Like I've just been obsessed. And for the lips, I am using the new FENTY lip products, which I actually have a video on the swatches of both the new Gloss Bomb sticks and also on the new lip liner. So please check that out if you haven't done so already, but the colors are just so stunning. So that's pretty much it. Right now it is 9:13 in the afternoon. I mentioned that I was going to be doing more of like a later start to my wear test. I took about an hour to get ready, get dressed. I put away laundry, got myself together. Today was a reset day for me. But yeah, this is what we're looking like. So this is the side with the matte primer on this side, and then this is the side with no primer. I think you can tell the difference, honestly. So the side with no primer, with the matte primer. Everything just looks a little bit more matte, especially right here in the T-zone. I will say I do have some little critiquing to do on the primer. Nothing bad, but just some things that I did notice. Okay, so I always have to go in with powder after I do my under eye. And I noticed that in the area where I went in with the primer right here, the powder and the primer don't work the best together, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing. There's a little bit of some separation right here, just a little bit in that area. And I think it's because it's a lot of matte product, which is what I mentioned earlier. Like make sure that when you use this product, you read the directions, and also make sure that you really use this if you have really oily skin, because it's really going to just absorb all those oils. So that being said, like I mentioned earlier, don't mix a very matte primer with a very matte foundation. I just don't think it'll work out, because if it's not working out with like a powder, which is something that's, you know, very like something that's also gonna absorb the oils, it can be a little messy situation. I would say something else I would do differently next time I use this is use less product in this midsection. Just, I feel like less is more with this product. That's pretty much it. That's the only little suggestion I'll give. But other than that, I do feel like we are looking matte on this side. I will show you guys how this looks in natural light. So keep watching, you won't want to miss this. Okay, bonitas, so I wanted to show you guys the in natural lighting clip of the One Size Oil Sucker Primer. I can't get over that name, but This is the side with the primer right here, aquí, and this is the side with no primer. So no primer, primer. Me gusta mucho. Okay, so I'm gonna carry on with the rest of the afternoon, evening, night, and I will see you guys tonight for my final thoughts, but so far we are looking good. Okay, bonitas, ya regresé, and this is what we're looking like right now. Right now it is 9:37 p.m. So we've worn this for about 6, almost 7 hours, and this is what we look like with the oil sucker primer. I can't get over that name, but this is how it looks. I definitely do feel like the side where we went in with the primer is looking much more matte than this side. Like, you guys can see it. I feel like even some parts of this I feel like have sheared out, and this side it just looks, you know, more in place. Do you see that? This primer is definitely one to check out, especially if you are somebody that has very oily skin and you're looking for something that's just gonna like soak up the oils. You're going to really love this, because you guys saw it in real time. Like, it was really absorbing all of that oil on the skin, and I think it did really well with that. So I feel like this, like, especially the area where we put a lot of the primer on, I feel like looks much more in place and on the skin than the side where we went in and didn't use any primer. I feel like it looks a little bit more oily, right? Like right here. This is where I'm kind of seeing it. So I say definitely give it a try if you are looking for a good mattifying primer. I think you're really gonna enjoy this. I would not recommend this to somebody that has dry skin or like normal skin. I don't think it'll be the one for you, but if you have oily skin and you're looking for something that can really absorb those oils, this is definitely the one for you. Also, if you want to wear this without any makeup, I think it'll perform really beautifully, because you guys saw how nicely it absorbed all of that oil on the face. I think it was worth the $34, because it's been a minute since I've found another really great matte primer besides the Milk one, which has been one of my favorites. I think this one is definitely one that I will be using a lot. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Let's be able to continue doing estos videos para ustedes. I think that's pretty much it. So I hope that you guys have a fabulous day. Don't forget to stay safe, stay blessed, and stay beautiful. Y nos vemos pronto. Adiós, bonitas.